Go for it. Yeah. So this is the first round of this is an IQ series. No, modern invitational event number. It's Navare Lee Wilson versus JP Theron. I believe Navare is on Blue-Red Storm. JP appears to be playing Suicide Junt. So both pretty explosive decks. Navare looking to not die and go off, you know, turn 3 to 4. And JP is just going to be sacrificing as much life as possible to make his Death Shadows as huge as he can, and then hopefully smashing in for a big chunk of damage. I don't know if he's playing the double strike combo or not. Navare cracks a fetch land into a shock, casts a Serum Visions. Sorry, I should probably put the camera on. You guys can see that. So I think Navare goes down to 17. Resolves that Serum Visions, passes the turn to JP. We have both players deciding to keep their 7 hands. 7 card hands. No mulligans here. Looks like an Overgrown Tomb into play, untapped for JP. So he goes down to 18. And he's going to cast the Thoughtseize right off the bat. Usually a bit strange, you know, shock into Thoughtseize, but this is a deck that wants you to sacrifice your life total. Death Shadow being the 13/13 for 1 that gets -1/-1 for each point of life you have. Resolves that Thoughtseize, and he takes a Gitaxian Probe away from him. I suppose he doesn't want to give him the free draw, which is something that the Storm player really wants. Getting an extra card of the Git Probe, putting the Git Probe in the graveyard. Information about your opponent's hand. I think that's another fetch land from Navare, opting not to crack it immediately. I think he's trying to preserve his life total a little bit. He's living in fear of the Wild Nicatl. The turn 2, 3/3. Another shock land from JP, putting him down to 14. That's a Cud Ape, aka Harambe. Probably a little off color, I'm sorry. And he cracks a Mishra's Bauble. He's going to draw an extra card at the beginning of his opponent's turn, or the next upkeep rather. And he's going to look at a random card from his opponent's hand. I don't think that's... Look at the top card of target player's library. Sorry, that's the text on Mishra's Bauble. Cud Ape is being a 2/3, so 1/2 that gets +1/+1 as long as you control a forest, I believe. It's Suicide Zoo, it's not Suicide Junt, so it's 4 colors. I've seen some versions playing, what is this thing called? The Burn Spell with Domain. Tribal Flames, but I don't think he's packing any. Navare casting a Thought Scour. I believe he's on 16 points of life since he cracked that fetch land. Thought Scour resolves, he untaps, peels a card at the top. I don't know how much trouble either player feels like they're in at the moment. Another crack. So it's the 3rd Scalding Tarn we've seen from Navare. And he smashes it right away, putting him down to 15. Fetches another basic. He's trying to protect his life total a little bit. That Cud Ape still just staring at him from the other side of the table. I think he really needs to find some way to combo off soon. JP's deck has plenty of ways of reducing his own life total. So we're probably going to see some explosive turns from here on out. Another Serum Visions from Navare. Has a peek at his hand while deciding whether to Scry. Looks like he puts both top in a different order. And I think he's going to cast some sort of cantrip. That looks like a sleight of hand. Grabs two, one into hand, one at the bottom. So it's a Manamorphose into hand and a sleight of hand at the bottom of his deck. Looks like he's going to cast that Faithless Looting right about. No, he opts to pass. Wonder what he's going to do with that red mana. Does he play Lightning Bolts? I'm not sure. I don't have their deck lists up. So I don't know. I should probably get the deck lists for following rounds. It's a Verdant Catacombs from JP. He cracks it immediately, putting him down to 13. And I believe he'll fetch another shock. I mean, his life total's got to be as low as possible. How's it looking? Is it that shrine? Nope. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Both players doing pretty much nothing here. And JP putting himself down to 11. Fetch shock, fetch shock, fetch shock. Sorry, it was shock, fetch shock, fetch shock. And a Thoughtseize. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of damage off his own lands. 9 points of damage. So brutal. 9. Street Wraith, cycling the Street Wraith, putting him down to 9 points of life. I think we're going to see something big here. Looks like he's going, oh, in for 2. It's not particularly large. Navare down to 13. Looks like he's about to drop the shadow. No, not quite. I want to preempt this. Yep, there it is. There's the big guy. 13, 13. -1, -1 for each point of life. It's currently a 4/4, I believe, which is pretty large for a 1-drop. Navare just checking what he has to do. Nope, nothing. Untaps. Maybe JP was playing around the theoretical lightning bolt that Navare was representing with that 1 red up by making it a 4/4 before he played it. There's the looting. Interesting matchup though, because Navare's got a lot less points of life to work through, so he doesn't actually have to storm off completely. He can just deal 9 points of damage at this stage, which is a lot easier than 20. He's having a look at his hand. He's still got to discard 2 cards for that Faithless Looting. Looks like he's found 1 enabler, and he's throwing it into the bin because he doesn't need it. Oh, there's another one in his hand. And there it is. I believe it's do or die for JP in this situation. Navare is probably hoping to untap and kill his opponent. Not certain of the contents of either player's hand. I can see some rituals and a cantrip or 2 in Navare's hand. JP's got a land and some other things. It's a Windswept Heath from JP, and he cracks it immediately. It's growing his Death Shadow to a 5/5. He's got 7 power on board, which is more than half of Navare's life total. But I think he wants to deal lethal, not half. Maybe he's got some sort of double strike pump vibe, not really sure. Like I said, I don't have the deck lists. I will have them for future games. This one, not so much. In for 7, and it's become immense, and that is lethal, I believe. That is 14 points of damage, and if Navare doesn't have anything to do about it, he should be toast. Both players just counting up. JP trying to explain, yep, that's it. On to game 2 we go. Currently 1-0 to JP. I really wish I had their sideboards here. Let me see if I can find them. No, I can't. This is pretty interesting. JP's kind of got a like really on the side of caution, kind of. You can't get his life total too low until he has the kill, because Navare can deal such large chunks of damage. Making his job any easier is obviously not ideal, but he also does want his life total to be kind of low so that the Death Shadow presents a reasonable clock. But, you know, 5 points of life is really dangerous against the Stone player. They could just kill you for no reason. Players just having a look at their sideboards. I think a bit more spot removal comes in from Navare. JP, I don't know what the suicide player brings in this matchup. Perhaps he tries to race harder, takes out his dismembers maybe. Looks like he's cutting a Becomiments, which is strange. A lot of the removal is going to be bad in this matchup. Sorry, I'll have the deck lists for the next game. I don't have any right now. Let's see if I can put them up on screen in between games. This is just a dry run. I hope you like the studio studio facilities we have here. A little bit of wobble on the camera there. Oops. That's stabilizing. Both players still deliberating on their sideboards. This is an awfully boring time. They're just kind of staring each other down here. I hope they can't hear me. They're literally sitting right behind me on the other side of that wall. They're like, they're right there. Like on the other side of that wall, they're sitting. You may only pile shuffle once per randomization. Pretty sure Navare opts to be on the play here. I don't see what advantage you could possibly get by giving the guy with wild Nicattles the first turn. Decks being presented, and I think we're going to see a game soon. Seven of the best. Let's have a look. I don't believe I saw any lands in JP's hand. There's one. That's a 2-lander for JP, and looks like a 2-lander for Navare as well. Oh, that brand new land swag. Spire Bluff Canal from Navare Wilson. And it's a shock land from JP. Straight into a Thoughtseize, putting him to 16. I believe it will resolve. Oops. Wrong life total updated there. My apologies. What does he see? 2 rituals, land, Thoughtscour, Manamorphose. And it looks like he's taken the Morphos. JP passes the turn, Navare untaps, casts the Thoughtscour, puts another 2 cards in the bin. No, he didn't untap, he had the land untapped. That was still in JP's instep. Follows up with a Serum Visions. Peels a card. I think he's going to put that Sleight of Hand back on top. What to do? This is really tight. I mean, he really wants to just go off as fast as possible. I don't think either player is going to be interacting at all here. If Navare put in the bolts, then he's going to be trying to catch the odd Curd Ape or Wild Nicattle, but I think this is a matter of speed and who can go off first. Navare playing that land untapped, probably trying to represent some sort of trick removal, maybe a Spell Pierce, I don't know. Not too good here. It's not like JP's playing anything that has 2 mana except for the Battle Rage, a double strike combo. It could be worth holding up the blue mana for some counter magic. Fetch land into shock for JP, costing him another 3 points of life, putting him down to 13. Something red. Swifty! Into Thoughtseize. We've got a prize trigger on that Swift Spear because of the Thoughtseize. JP putting himself down to 11 off that Thoughtseize. That's a Past in Flames, some Rituals, and a Thought Scour in Navare's hand. Swifty in for 2. I believe that drops Navare to 16. But he's going to cast the Thought Scour before the damage resolves or happens. JP passes turn, he untaps. Peeled another Ritual off the top. I think he's going to try and go for it here. No, a little slow. I don't think he has the gas. He's counting. Is he going to try for it? I think there was 2 blue mana that he floated. He's going to play that red land. Storm count currently 1. Not sure what these players are pointing out. Use a blue mana. Cast Sleight of Hand. Sees a Ritual and something else. Not sure what the keep is there. He's putting a land at the bottom and keeping the Ritual. Oh, and he just lets that mana go to waste. He's got a grip full of mana. That is, wow. Nah, it's good, but it's not great right now. He really wants an enabler. I don't think he can win without a Swath. So he needs a Swath and a Grave Shot to kind of win. Another Swift Spear from JP. In for 2. No tricks. I think Navare just accepts the damage here. Yep, he does. Goes down to 14. JP steadily applying pressure. I don't know if he has any ways to reduce his life total, but it looks like he's not using them if he has got them. Here we go. I think we're going to see an attempt to go off from Navare. It's usually what happens when a Stone player casts their first Ritual. It could just randomly be a Blood Moon. You never know. Storm count 1. Yeah, he's bringing out the dice now. 3 red mana in the pool. Uses 2. Casts a Ritual. Splices on the second Desperate Ritual. Both resolve. Adds 6. Oh, I think we have a bit of a miscount there. He uses 3, uses 2, adds another 3, splices that on. So he's going to go up to 8. Storm count 3. Oh, he does have that Past in Flames, doesn't he? Storm count is now 4. And there's a Past in Flames in his graveyard. I believe that costs 5 to flash back. He's got a whole lot of gas in the bin. Oh, that is very interesting. Leaves him on 4 mana. His Storm count's now 5, and everything in his bin has flashback for its converted mana cost. And there's a lot of stuff in the graveyard. I believe it's going to be that Metamorphose. No, he's going to generate some more mana. Let's just get all of the Rituals out of the way. Goes from 4 to 5. Goes from 5 to 6. Storm count up to 7. Is it another Ritual? Oh, Storm count up to 8. I think we might have missed something there. Oh, he's just putting them from his graveyard into exile. Can't really see them off camera. Okay, that Metamorphose is probably going to fault into 2 blue, because that's what he needs. Excellent. Puts the Storm count up to 10. No, anything he finds here is going to be lethal. Could be a Storm Elemental, for all I know. It's another Morphose. Evening out on blue and red mana. Putting his Storm count up to 11. JP kind of just sitting there flicking his cards. There's nothing he can do. All he can really do is hope that Navare whiffs. Shouldn't have eaten those rituals out of your graveyard. I think it might have been a better play to Manamorphose into the blue mana first, see if you can find a Pyromancer's Ascension, and then use the multiple rituals in the graveyard to activate the Ascension. But this is the line he took, and let's see if it pays off. So he's going to be using 2 red mana for that. That should put his storm count up to 12. Let's see if he has enough gas in the bin. One copy of Serum Visions left in the graveyard as he puts that copy onto the stack, which gives him a trigger on his Pyromancer's Ascension. Draws a card, scries 2, puts the other Ascension at the bottom. That might be a Grape Shot on top, I am not certain. Sleight of Hand goes out, and the Ascension is active. And I do believe Navare is set to win here. He's just going to gain way too much advantage off the draw spells in his graveyard. His storm count is more than high enough. It's currently on 14, I believe. We might be seeing a game 3 here, although he's slowed down a little bit. Storm count to 15, cost a sleight of hand. One hand, one bottom, and again, one hand, one bottom. Oh, that's the tech. This is Mr. Wilson's own special touch to the Storm deck, and it's Pyromancer's Swath. Makes Grape Shots extra lethal. And for the turn you're going off, it's amazing. There's the Swath. And his opponent has to read. Nobody knows what it does. Just like, it does what, precisely? I don't think it's necessary at this stage. It's oh, that is so much damage. 6, 12, 18 damage. Plus 2 times 18. That's 32. But oh, that is an awful amount of damage. It's over 40 points. More than lethal. That was purely showboating, that Pyromancer's Swath. Yeah, so JP's definitely dead after that. As you can see, he's picked up his cards, and we're gonna see a game 3 over here. Vulgar display of power there from Navare. Storm count 18 into Pyromancer's Swath into Grape Shot. Or rather, Swath Grape Shot, Storm count 18. Gigantic amount of damage there. Interestingly enough, the Swath lets him kill with far fewer Grape Shot copies than you normally expect, because it basically makes each storm count worth 3. So you need this many storm. So if you have that and you cast the Grape Shot, that's lethal. I wonder if being on the play was that important to this win. Not sure. We'll find out in game 3. These guys don't look like they're going to be sideboarding much. JP just pointing out Navare hasn't touched the deck. And he just gives it a gentlemanly tap. Don't know if that's allowed, actually. 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 1-lander for JP. And Navare doesn't look happy with his lack of mana. I think there's a single one. Both players look like they have 1-landers here. And it's that stare down at the beginning of the game. You know, are you keeping? Huh? Are you? What do you think? JP decides to keep it. He goes down to 18. Thoughtseize. That classic suicide start. But you'd really want to fetch land, actually, so you can be on 15. But he gets a bit of information about his opponent's hand. Oh, Navare's kept a 3-lander. That's Past in Flames. Pyromancer's Swath, Sleight of Hand, and what looks like an Empty the Warrens. Maybe playing around the possibility of Leyline of Sanctity from JP. to guard against the burn. Yeah, JP might have brought in a Leyland Recycle too. Looks like he's got a piece of his hate here, which is the Nihil Spellbomb. It helps to turn off the Pyromancer's Ascension. Navare just playing a fetch land there. JP going shock into Spellbomb, putting him down to 14 points of life. And that's a Street Wraith. He's cycling it. He's on 12. He's going to grab another card off the top of his deck. Navare grabbing the Spellbomb just to make sure he knows what it says. I believe it says tap, sacrifice to heal Spellbomb, target, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. And when it dies, you may pay 1 black. If you do, draw a card, and it's an artifact for 1 colorless mana. Navare's going to crack that fetch land, fetching a basic island, putting him down to 19. This is at the end of JP's turn, I believe. He probably has some instant speed card draw in the shape of Thought Scour. He doesn't. He's going to untap and draw a card. Odd that he fetched a basic land there. Spire Bluff Canal. It's good enough. He's holding nothing new. I believe JP knows basically the contents of his hand. JP plays another fetch land there into a Mishra's Bauble. I think he's going to pop it immediately. Let's look at the top card of his own library and draw an extra card at the beginning of the next upkeep, or beginning of your next turn. I'm not really sure. It replaces itself at some point. Navare playing an island. I'm not sure what he peeled off the top there. But his hand doesn't contain too much action. JP cracks it, puts it down to 11. I think he passed 10. He's asking something about the Spellbomb. Spellbomb makes the disruption so good because he can put the cards into exile basically. So those Thought Seizers are doubly valuable here. He doesn't get to get extra use of them from the Past in Flames. If he takes the Past in Flames, he can just make sure it's gone forever. Is that a tapped shock land from JP? Interesting. Now he's trying to preserve his life total. He wants 1 more point of damage to make sure his Death Shadow is at least a 3/3. Perhaps a 4/4, so that it's bulletproof. But perhaps he's going the beatdown route. There's the extra card from the Mishra's Bauble. This is quite a standout. The aggressive player's got nothing on board. He's just been playing some card selection, well, card draw, raw card draw actually, and some disruption. And he sees nothing too special in JP's hand, except the Swath, which is not doing anything without a grave shot. That's another 2 points of life. Make it another 2 points of life. Down to 7, the double Gitaxian Probe. Pretty sure he has the contents of his opponent's hand noted. Nobody needs to reveal again. Looks like a Wooded Foothills and another Bauble. He's really piling into his deck here. You've got to crack that Bauble before you look at the top card. What's the Scribe from? I'm so confused. That looks like a problem. What's happening here? Okay. That's been fixed, that's okay. He does have that information, nothing too broken here. Didn't really need to show his opponent anything. Revealing hidden information, and that was a bit of a boo-boo. Use the fetch land on top, there we go, cat. And he's got a bit of a clock on the table, but it's 19 points of life that Navare's at to JP's 7. And I think JP's in more trouble than Navare's in, because he's kind of flooded on lands here. He's played his 4th land, which is not really where the Zoo player wants to be. And he's got another land on top. He can shuffle it away with his fetch land. Navare's playing also another land, but the excess mana is fine for the Storm player. They've got ways to use it. JP's deck, however, is filled with 1 and 2 mana spells. He's got no real way to sink mana away. Navare's just going to pass back with that fetch land up. JP Fetch land himself down to 6 points of life. Should really do something about that camera wobble. It's quite a bit of gas that Navare has in his hand. Looks like a land, Swath, ritual, to empty the warrens, and a past in flames, with which he can make a considerable amount of goblins. Considerable. Excuse my sketchy English. Two mana spell from JP. It's a Goyf. That's a big boy. That's a real big boy. Artifact, creature, sorcery, land. It's a 4/5 currently. Maybe there's an instant. I think it's a 4/5. Goyf is a 4/5. Now he's got a clock. 7 points of power on board. And Navare's going to take that 3. It's going to put him down to 16. And from here on out, it looks like JP's got Navare on a 3-turn clock. Which doesn't seem like that much, but he's got very few ways to not interact with his opponent. I mean, those are blockers as well. The 3/3 and the 4/5. The Goyf might grow. At most, in these... Okay, wait, there are enchantments in Navare's deck, so this Goyf could get pretty big. He could get to 7, I believe. No Planeswalkers, 6. Goyf could potentially get to 6 power in this matchup. Navare's cracked that fetch land. I think he's deliberating about whether he's going to try and put some Empty the Warrens tokens down. Ooh, this is tough. Maybe even just as blockers, you know. Buy himself an extra turn or 2. The Spire Bluff Canal comes intact. He does have 2 Empty the Warrens. Perhaps he can just blow 1 for some chump blockers, which I think is what he's going to do. There we go. That's an empty. He's just going to get 2 goblins. And he passes the turn, just looking to buy himself some time. JP now has to work through those 2 creatures. I'm pretty sure he's taken out his removal for this matchup. That's a whole extra turn, which is a big deal for the Storm player. They can do a lot with 5 mana. JP sitting in the tank for a bit, not just instinctively turning some dudes sideways, but that's what he does anyway, and it's chump chump. No, he takes the 3. Navare just looking to stem the bleeding from the Tarmogoyf there. I think he's okay with taking 3 damage a turn. It's going to put him to 12 points of life. Git probe. Is he paying the life? Looks like he is. That's just down to 10. I'm going to have a peek at your hand, buddy. Come on. Oh, we just not resolved that spell correctly there. Gitaxian probe does reveal the contents of a player's hand. Just using the white dice to show his storm count so we can differentiate from what is red mana. The current dice on the table is Goblin token. It's not floating red mana. Navare currently on 1 storm. So that's a Manamorphose. Draw a card, float 2, and he's going to go 1 red, 1 blue. Put my storm count to 2 and get myself an extra card. Really needs to find some damage here. Games are a little bit boring to watch. It looks like he's going to use that mana for a ritual. Yep, that's it. Eat it up. Let's get 3 red. Storm count goes up. And we're floating 3 red mana. He's got plenty of blue on the table. I don't think he needs to worry about that too much. Shock. Down to 8. I think he's going to try and go off this turn. Don't see why he'd put himself so close to being dead. I mean, the Goyf is now a 2-turn clock. That's the Swath. Uses up 3 mana. Puts Storm to 4. Grape Shot is lethal here. How are we storming off? Okay, that deals no damage, so it's not going to add anything. He's just used it for the extra storm count, basically. That's a lot of goblins. And they present a reasonable clock, actually. 10 guys, in for 1. JP is in trouble from these goblin tokens, because that attack's put him down to 5. And Navare's got plenty of blockers in the way. Unless he can get rid of at least 6 of those tokens, 7 of them, he's going to die next turn. And I'm pretty sure in this situation, he's just not blocked. What is his out here? It's a Tamil Battle Rage, I think. That's the only way he's going to get through here. Yeah, he's in some real trouble. I don't think he can put down enough blockers. He's only got some lands, a Thoughtseize, and a Cut Ape in hand. So, yeah, this is a big problem for JP. 10 goblins. And all the Swath was for 1 storm count. It added 2 goblins to the board. Yep, that's it. 2-0 to Navare. Yeah. Storm versus Suicide Zoo. 4-color zoo, whatever you want to call it. Good games.